Hey people, I was reading Genesis 10 in the Greek, and it starts and ends with the Meteton cataclysmon, and they say cata means according to. Most of the time they'll change it up, according to, and the cluesmon, epithages Metetonic at a cluesmon. And you see it start the same way with this Metaton cataclysmon. And so Metetonic, if you try to Google it, it comes up as this Metonic cycle, the 19-year cycle where the moon comes back to almost the same place, off by a couple hours. And you have to put it in parentheses to force it. And they're still trying to push this Metonic cycle, but it's the people that know call it the Metetonic cycle. The Metetonic cycle, the 19-year cycle. Here's one in LinkedIn that says how the Jews receive our Jewish calendar from the Torah. The Metetonic cycle, as he calls it. And what happens is this is every day has a different name for 19 years is the cycle, and then it goes back where the same day will have the same name. But that a couple hours difference, after several Metetonic cycles, it gets off a little bit too much, and the names don't work because the moon isn't quite in the same place. It's done moved a house. And that's what's happened right after the flood. They're renaming the Metetonic cycle, and they're getting a new jacket. And so that's what this says in the Greek, is nosum cum jacket. And again, yet is on. Of two is a joy, the Metetonic at a cluesmon. And I'm not going to read this, it's boring, but if you look at it, you see that many of the names aren't quite what they set up here. And you can see Nimrod, the giant hunter. And what it is as the NE is to B, and B means in, and inum broad, not giant tall but wide. The stars aren't set, they're moving. All them stars are in motion up there. They're not in the same place after thousands of years. The shapes are changing. And so all these names, they're different from the Hebrew Bible, and it's because the times is changing. The labum, they all have a number value, and the values are changing. That's why the names change a little. That's this word, in scatters that disperse on. And you see the word for father, it changes up. Because sometimes it's of top of tree font on. That's a bird font. And here's the biggest clue here in line 25. For in his days was divided into parts the earth, and the name of his brother was Joktan. And so all these small words, they give them, all the big words too, they give them any meaning, just try to match it up with what they thought it said. But it's the comerays of to deem. The deem ariseth. And Edda, they'll give that many different meanings. He, thee, in, whatever. But this is edigy, and onum too. And come the rays of to deem ariseth. And so this deem, that's like for per diem, when you're getting paid to stay somewhere on a job, a daily. And that's what it means, is day by day ariseth. Edigy. Edigy is a story. And onum to aid of coat, of jacket on. And the sons of Noah, the nosum cum jacket. And that's how this is written. It's you could tell there's something that they're hiding, in the Edda. And come the rays, a day of two, of day by day ariseth the Edigy, the story, and on to aid of coat. A Edda and a Edigy, derived from a French word meaning floor, story, levels, but not only used in building. The Edigies, the levels. And so all these sons, they're put into tribes, and the tribes are the Fool. The Fool is, and so the Fool is the moon, according to the class as. And the K and the G I showed in the last movie or two, where it turns up the G is the C, and you can see it's the same here. It's often silenced, and it's in order to change a number value, but make the words still appear the same as in the Hebrew. You see it in this word for Peleg that ends with a K. But it plainly says, the moon of tone according to the classes as. The class as. And that's what the language is about. And these are in audage. Audage is a distance from the decimal point. Audage age of the moon of foolage. Vi, who on, no, according to. And so when the N is followed by the E, it becomes the bet, the Hebrew bet. You see it in much the language, and gives his, what on, according to it, know. That's the spelling of Noah, N-H. Noah's just spelt with an N-H. It know what on, apo, away, to what on, dispersion, and know so it on, etching on, epithages, the Meteton according to Clusamon. And so, the next chapter 11, that's the story of Babylon. Babel meaning confusion. On account of this, it was called, the name of it, confusion. And so Peter Wager had asked me, what does it mean when it says that the meek shall inherit the earth? And so it actually just depends on how they spelled it there. It could be the epithages, the perfect example of, or they could be inheriting the edigy, the story. And so in the Hebrew, the earth is arts. And so best chances are, you're inheriting the story of the heavens. So we might as well take a quick look at, make this a short movie, but it's spelt different again, and it's the Tinjon. This is the most common way it comes, either this or with the S on the end. But I believe this is where you were, the engine, it was it, engine, the one that turns it, or the tinge on, it was, had a stain, the tinge on. And this word for the meek or the gentle, it's it could be a P or F, and this AE becomes the ES, and it's fresh is, gentle. Fresh is ought to. A clear on 'em is of sitting engine. And so it's hard to tell what that says. You have to put it in context. But it's easy, these are all going to be repeating. This word for bless, was to make her happy, to make her joy, or to make her happy. And so the only way to know is, to start from the beginning and read the entire thing 100 times. But it's made to sound one way, and you can see a couple things hidden underneath. There's several layers underneath it. Because adon means to put on. But adondi, in in Spanish, and where, a question. And it's same as, and they getting that from the underlayer, the ID on thee, and the hand on thee. But, this is Jesus teaches on the mountain. What he's saying is, adorn thee to us a clothes of a bitches to a rose, and catches unto sort of. And so they called him a bitch, and a bitch is the Hebrew word for the one going up on the altar. So adorn thee to us clothes of a bitches to a rose, going out chasing women. And the catches onto, and this is going to be the purpose of it. Are you going to put them on the altar? Or are you going to put them on the altar? And catches onto as sort of proselton. And proselton of to call a match to, ye ought to. That's southern redneck for what ye ought to do. The match to ye ought to. And a noise as tostum ought to of. Have opened his mouth. You're annoying. You're annoy, it says. To a noise. Tostum. Throw at him. A opening line. And a noise tostum ought of. He did asking. He taught is the did asking. Of to us sledge on. Of to us sledge on. What we say. And so it's not talking about a single man. Everything is plural in there. It's talking about men in general. But that's just on the top. It's got all the secrets underneath. And so that lets me know that it's to make her joy and make her happy. And so that's what blessed are. That's make her happy. To make her happy. Make her joy. And call presses. Ought to, a clear on 'em, and make it clearly, and a clear on 'em is of sit, inchin, or the setting on, and make your intentions, and intention, what's your intentions. And so this word that they give meek, this could be precious, or freshes, or call the presses. But it looks like, to make her joy, to call precious ought to. And ought to make, the I is to make. Ought to make clear on 'em is of whose attention. What's your intentions? Let her know, hey, do you want to marry her, or do you want to just bitch her on the altar one time? But this looks like it might be a fun to read, because all the repeating, it cuts a lot of it out. Even though it repeats itself, it still doesn't mean it. It means the same thing every time. And that's the language. They're showing you how the context of the words changes the meaning. But it looks like it just stops at 11, maybe just 10 blessings here. And then as you go down, you see it's just a bunch of small poems put together concerning the law, and murder begins in the heart. So it looks like love poems. Adultery begins in the heart. And dismissing a wife, looks like you're going through the stages. Oaths, and an eye for an eye. So that looked like it might be a fun one to read. I probably won't be able to get off that, but I'm going to finish this up here. A good day.